Welcome back to Cryptids Unlimited Plus. Yeah, today we have a great story. Or I should say a few stories, encounters, whatever you'd like to call them. Cheers. Let's get rolling. I hesitate to tell about the experience I had. The encounter was pretty brief and there isn't much to say, but I'm going to tell it anyways. So this took place in Washington State back in the summer of 2007 or 2008-ish, I believe. And I was about 21 or 22 years old at the time. I lived in a suburban middle-class neighborhood. And like a lot of neighborhoods in Washington, it was this sort of forest-type feel to it, and lots of trees and nature around. Anyways, my good friend lived about a mile away from where I lived, and it was nice, simple walk back and forth. So that's what we usually did. I was at my friend's house late one night, and he falls asleep. I'd like to add, no drugs or alcohol had been consumed, and I was entirely sober. On a side note, I don't really think you're adding much credibility to your encounter of seeing what you guys will hear he sees and say there was no drugs involved, or alcohol even. Just by saying that validates you for being called out for this. I would have never even thought of that if he didn't bring it up. Let's continue. I'm still awake and getting hungry. So I'm like, F it. I'm going to head home. It was about 2 or 3 in the morning at this point, but I'd done this plenty of times before, so it wasn't a big deal. Like I said earlier, this is in the middle of summer, so it's a nice night out and I'm enjoying the walk home. So I bring it up once again. You were hungry enough to walk home in the middle of Sasquatch territory at 2 to 3 a.m. by yourself. But there was no drugs involved. Alright, let's continue. I reach about the halfway point, and I'm on the sidewalk passing in front of a small house and under a streetlight when I hear a sort of rustling sound like grass or leaves being shifted around or moved through, and it had come from my direct right, somewhere from in front of the yard of this house. I stopped in my tracks and turned my head towards the noise I had heard, absolutely expecting to see a cat or 2, or 3, but he wasn't on drugs, so he only saw 2, but instead, what I see about 5 feet away from me in the yard is a small dead-looking tree, maybe 3 feet tall, and clinging to the side of it is a small humanoid, about a foot tall, looking right at me. No drugs. I just froze. I wasn't quite sure what I was seeing, but I could tell it was a small, skinny little naked humanoid with brownish skin. Although the streetlight gave everything a dirty yellow hue and no hair, and I could see that it was looking at me. Its eyes just looked like small, shiny black beads. Okay. There wasn't much time to stare, because almost immediately the little creature leaps off of the side of the tree into the grass and takes off running from the tree to around the side of the house and into the darkness. And he moved fast. As soon as he was out of sight, I unfroze and sprinted almost the entire rest of the way home, stopping only to look back behind me every now and then. So, to me, it sounds like this may have been a situation of seeing the Travelocity guy butt naked, climbing a tree. I'm not sure, but still love the story. He could have just left out the part with drugs and alcohol and sobriety. Alright, on to the next one. First, real quick, let me get a little sip here of my drink. Alright, let's move on. I believe I've seen 2 creatures of the fairy type. The first one, it was night. I'd say it was 9 or 10 p.m. And I was talking to 2 friends in front of a house of one of them when I turned around and noticed that in the middle of a place with grass, there was a small humanoid with a plant body looking at me. It had eyes and a mouth, and as soon as I saw it, I was surprised, but I was not afraid. It was looking at me with a proud look. I gave a smile and then ignored it. I'm the one who saw this creature because I did not tell them about it. These days, I was researching elemental creatures, and I would say that these creatures was a pixie, fairy, so on and so forth. And this is an encounter that makes me the most curious, because I was calm, and this creature seemed to know me somehow. And the second one, simple as this. I woke up at night and saw a white little elf. I think it was about 11 centimeters tall. 11 centimeters. On my belly, similar to Dobby from Harry Potter. Wow, great comparison. A little less ugly, I would say. He was not looking at me. Alright, I want to stop right now. I'm curious. How do these people know that it was a he or a she? It's a fairy. So, in my eyes, we've never caught one. We've never sexed one. How do we even know if there is he or she's? Could they be of a neutral sex category? Or, maybe none at all that we ever classified? But we'll continue with as they spoke. So, he was looking at me. He seemed to be curious, like he was searching for something. He had no fur and had smooth skin, and did not wear clothes. I do not remember the rest. From what I noticed, I was not having sleep paralysis. So, you don't remember the rest, but you saw a little fairy. So, this could be some sort of extraterrestrial control in your mind. I'm not sure. But that seems like an extremely short situation to wake up to have an 11 centimeter tall creature sitting on your chest. I also have narrated another story. And it was similar. It was about a alien praying mantis. Sounds quite similar. One had an animal on top of her chest, or I should say some sort of creature, and everything was after that for her. And then she woke up to her husband pretty much trying to help her out, and she was holding the baby. Yeah, it was a long story, but it seems very similar. All right, let's continue to the next. When I was about 7 years old, I was on vacation with my family in California. Palm Desert, to be exact. Very close to me. Palm Desert, San Diego. Wonder where the kid's from. I was staying at my grandpa's house with my two older brothers, Mom, and her best friend. Mom and I were sharing a room with her best friend, and in the room were two twin beds. My mom and I slept in one. Sounds very, very close. And her best friend slept in the other. The bed we were in was up against the corner of the room, and half the bed was against the wall, which had a window right next to it. The window was about waist level, and when sleeping, it was just right above my head. Pretty close. This particular night, I was sleeping facing the window, and my mom lay next to me. I woke in the middle of the night, and everything seemed normal. The moonlight was shining, and then out of nowhere, I saw about 15 gingerbread-shaped creatures climbing up from the outside of the window, going straight through the glass, like you would imagine a ghost would pass through, and land right on my stomach. See, once again, this is another thing that I'm saying. There's a lot of these encounters where these creatures tend to be right here, chest area, stomach area, just sitting there, looking, just staring eye to eye, and somehow appear there like that. So, once again, let's go on. They were all about 3 inches tall, and each were all a different color, but colored brightly and glowing. They were blue, lime green, yellow, red, and pink. They walked all over my mom and I. As a child, I was just in awe. They eventually climbed to the wall to the window and left one by one, again going straight through the glass. The next morning was what really shocked me. I woke up and ran in my grandma's dining room, where he and my older brothers were eating breakfast, and I stood at the foot of the table so excited to tell them what I had seen, or thought I had seen. I finished explaining, and then I looked to my right and saw my mother standing next to me. Her face was pale. She looked at me and said, I saw them too. I could not believe it. To this day, I can't complain or explain what we saw. And whenever I mention it to her, we both kind of laugh it off because it was so strange. I've tried to find some kind of answer or explanation on the internet, but I've never found anything remotely close to what we saw. Strange, slightly adorable, possibly fairies, or something else entirely. I have seen my fair share of strange or humanoid things in life, as my mom, but this one always stuck out to me because I haven't been able to find any information or similar to it. So, let me know what you guys think. I know this was what you call a fail of a live video on YouTube, but it was my first vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. And obviously no one tuned in to watch it, but maybe if you watch the save version that's going to pop up on my page. Once again, I'd like to let everyone know, feel free to contact me about any of your experiences with cryptid, with the humanoids, with anything that you think is strange. Anything at all that you think is out of this world and that could be narrated for you. I know some people have a hard time letting this out there, getting this out there, saying, hey, check this out. I saw this. I heard this. When I was a kid, I had a few encounters, and I'll get to those one day. But just let me know, please, and I'll definitely air it out for you. It does help you getting it off your chest. So just let me know, and we'll figure this all out. Thank you guys very much, and this is Sir Squatchacorn signing off. And thank you for watching Cryptids Unlimited.